souls. They all are beautiful. Live life, be righteous. Thank God in your life, man. Represent the light to the end. Before you ascend or descend, right? Where you gonna go? You gotta know yourself before you go. And that's right. I said, nigga, that's right. Yeah. Black people. Yeah. We gotta raise our minds, we gotta raise our kids, huh? Show them the truth, the leader. I mean, that's right, yeah. I thank you, God. I be just shining. What you got, them diamonds? Be smart, young man, seek the knowledge within, huh? Within, huh? I say, speak. We just be ballin', it's all loving. The abundant peace and happiness. The abundant peace and happiness that we be free. Yeah, in your mind, everything that it want, it just takes some time, but it's right time right now. Yeah, the right time is right now. I say, it's all in your mind, kids. It's all in your mind, kids. Yeah, you can be rich, you can be whatever you wanna be, and that's the truth to see. So receive, your blessings. Never gonna stress it, I learned this lesson, I be in my gratitude, knowing that's the way that I get to God. With you, and everything I believe, I put it up to see. You got to know it. Come on, let's keep it going. I'm out, man. Thank you.
My reality.
Creates my reality.
And what I think.
And what I think.
I become.
I become.
My thoughts are powerful.
My thoughts are powerful.
They carry energy.
They carry energy.
I am energy.
I am energy.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I can do anything I believe.
I can do anything I believe.
I receive that.
I receive that.
I am that.
I am that.
I am greatness.
I am greatness.
I am whatever I choose to be.
I am whatever I choose to be.
What I think I become.
What I think I become.
My mentality creates my reality.
My mentality.
These kids, to a place where they can take on the future successfully. And so, everybody, this is Mike Dunn Jr., and he has a great network called The Mike Dunn Show. He is one of my closest friends, and he has his passion is serious. He doesn't care about, it's not focused on money. He truly wants to see the next generation win. So Today, I'm glad to have him here with me. I'm gonna ask him a few questions, and we're discussing how to help these kids with their, with the education system, with COVID, and all these things that are stopping them from learning. How do we actively educate them and keep going to work and keep earning money? Because it happens.
Yeah.
So yes, Mike, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, your personal life? Like, I know you have children. I want them to hear that.
Yeah, man. My name is Michael Jr., originally from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Been out in Dallas since 2008. Got 2 sons, 9 and 11. My passion is working with the youth, man. Education, teaching, just bringing the inspiration, bro. Just inspiring people to be the best true guy.
Hello, peacemakers. What's good? What's happening, American people? What's going on, people of the world? What's going on? I am back with another episode of APOP, a place of peace, where we're focused on a lifestyle of peace. A peace-centered lifestyle is what I call it. So today I want to make sure that we are installing a message that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I love to do our Tuesday messages where we really get into the core belief system of APOP, where you're understanding why we're not focused on religious beliefs or not going to push too much doctrine on you. We will verify what we are talking about, with the doctrine you are familiar with, perhaps the Bible, Quran, and different scriptures. If you watch me, you'll know. But I want to make sure that the lectures are not focused on anything other than helping the human population live a peace-centered life. That is what we're here to do. We study our mind, we study our body, and we study our environment to enrich our spirit. Acts of life and actions of death determine what type of memories that we make and what type of life we lead. As you wake each day, you accumulate habits and beliefs and emotions that develop your becoming. As we become better peacemakers, we will have true control over our life because we live in awareness. What we do with our awareness is completely up to us. What you do with your awareness is completely up to you. It doesn't mean that you are perfect. Being aware gives you options and understanding. That's how we look at it. Comprehending your actions can lead to a life of happiness. So today's message is Righteousness Explained. The question raised is, can you experience righteousness if you don't identify as religious? This message was inspired by a previous live stream I went on. What was that? Instagram? Me and Mike Dunn went on Instagram, and we had a message, and the audience, the woman in the audience, she was really intelligent. She asked some really pertinent questions about how we process doing what is right and wrong. She was saying, how do you understand right and wrong if you don't have religion, if you don't have a doctrine in place? And I understand where she's coming from, but I would like for us to go ahead and get to the next level of this and understand that the doctrine comes from the people. The people create the doctrine. And so do you need doctrine to make things to live righteous? No, I think righteousness creates the doctrine, right? The attributes of righteousness is honor, justice, truthfulness, unselfishness, kindness, and free from wrong. Based on that description, in my opinion, it's possible to live a life of righteousness while not identifying as religious. The matrix, or the mother source, or God, recognizes all righteousness. This week I was inspired by CNBC. They paid tribute to previous former President Jimmy Carter. And I was inspired by their approach, I was inspired by Jimmy Carter's approach towards peacemaking. President Carter made a peace treaty between, this week, CNBC inspired me when they paid tribute to former President Jimmy Carter. I was inspired by the way Jimmy Carter approached it.
So he began riding his bicycle.
An Israeli settlement.
Day 4. The two Mideast leaders had stopped talking to each other, but they would talk to Carter. So he began riding his bicycle between the cabins of the Egyptian and Israeli delegations, trying to craft an agreement, detail by detail. But by day 6, they were still stalemated.
American officials deny reports that the talks almost fell apart last night.
It was then that Carter suggested they all go for a Sunday drive. Let me ask you about taking those two amazing men to Gettysburg.
That was one of the most emotional things I ever did. The first 3 days that we were together, Begin and Sadat were completely crossed up. They didn't get along didn't agree on anything. They would just resurrect ancient disharmonies between Egypt and Israel, all the way back 2,000 years. When we got to Gettysburg, it was a very interesting thing because all the Egyptian officers and most of the Israelis knew all about Gettysburg. They had studied it in school. And when we got to where Lincoln made his Gettysburg address, everybody stopped and Begin began to speak in a loud voice and recited completely the Gettysburg Address.
Wow, what a moment.
And there was I still get choked up thinking about it, but it was dramatic, unforgettable.
President Carter made a peace treaty between the state of Israel and the Arab Republic of Egypt. The names of the gentlemen were Menachem Begin. He was the prime minister of Israel. He was Jewish. He is Jewish, excuse me. Ansar Sadat, president of Egypt. he's a Muslim. And Jimmy Carter, President of the United States of America, Christian. They came together and they ended war. They ended a trajectory of war to protect the lives of generations that have no understanding or no effect to it. They're innocent. And so those three men have three different religious point of views of life, but they were able to see through their differences for the sake of doing what is right for the community. So when you ask the question, do you need the doctrine to know what's right and wrong? I would say no. I would say that the doctrines, it's good to have, but to understand that the righteousness comes from within you and then it creates from without. So the doctrine is the evidence of us. As though, in the Bible they say that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You get what I'm saying? So if you process that and understanding who you are and how your consciousness is made up, you would process, okay, if I'm righteous, then I would have some point developed a righteous system to identify and keep people along the lines if they feel that they are led astray or don't have the understanding of redemption and things like this. Doctrine is created because we are righteous. So to say that you need the Bible specifically in order to make it into the gates of righteousness, you would then disclaim that the people that are Muslim have it misconstrued, or people that are Jewish have it misconstrued, or whatever. So we have to process that, or Buddhists, or I don't mean to not mention anyone, but to understand this, that if a Jew, a Muslim, and a Christian could come together and speak civilly and live together in a compound for up to several weeks, they were able to come together and live around each other. That means we can do it too. And a lot of this stems from those relationships at the top, and they peer down into our everyday life of how we just deal with money and deal with politics and deal with social dynamics. So we have to be understanding with one another, and when we realize that it's not a specific religion that's correct, but it is how we interact with one another that produces what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. You get what I'm saying? That makes pretty good sense, right? We came together to end the war to protect the lives of innocent generations. You may not identify with a religion, and that's okay. You can live righteously and watch God show up in your life. I'm a living witness, because when I began to turn away from the dogma of Christianity, I still had a relationship with God. I still had a seeking to be with God's presence, in God's presence. And I don't know if you identify with that, but it's a seeking towards just feeling free and peaceful and not having to worry and not having to feel confused about your life, and to want to feel oneness within yourself. And when I'm in the presence of God, which I learned through the Christian walk, I really feel that I'm privileged to be in such great vibrations. And that is enough for me. And that's what I find what is righteous. Righteous doesn't have to have an outcome. Righteous is not looking for anything other than the enjoyment of a relationship. That's what righteousness is to me. But righteousness, the characters of righteousness, what we read moments ago, it says the attribute of righteousness is honor. It is good to be honorable. It is really an actual good characteristic to be honorable. So we can see that righteousness is character about yourself. Are you a righteous person? You got righteous gangsters. There's all kinds of righteous people. And when we understand that, there's even text in the Quran that's explaining to Moses. Moses thought he was the most intelligent person, or the most closest to God, in the Quran. And God gave Moses an opportunity to learn that God has many ways of working and supporting the people through many people. And that we should never get too comfortable with God. And to understand that even though God is moving through other people that you may not understand, you have to honor God's righteousness whenever you're in its presence. Because even if you don't understand God's righteousness, you got to see the characteristics. God has honor, justice, truthfulness, unselfishness, kindness, and free from wrong. Righteousness is an aspect and characteristic that we all can achieve within ourselves. When you understand that God is you, then you'll say, you're saying the highest version of myself, God, the highest understanding that I could ever process while in existence, God is you. Then you'll be able to process righteousness, and you'll be able to understand that you have to figure out what kind of God you are. Are you an evil God or are you a righteous God? It's not right or wrong. It just is what it is, what's going on. And when we understand that, then we can understand what we want to process, what we want to put into our life, what we want to put into our children's life. When we process who we are, what side we stand on, then you're able to say, I identify that this content should not be consumed because it will not produce the fruits of righteousness. And righteousness is what? Honor, justice, truthfulness, unselfishness, kindness, free from wrong. And free from wrong, and when I think of free from wrong, I'd say, dang. Oh, where did I get this definition? I actually got it out of the King James Version of the Bible. I did. I really did. I got it right out the back. You know what I mean? Right out the back. I could find it. Righteousness. Okay, hold on. Righteousness, peace. There it goes. Righteousness, upright or honorable and free from wrong. Righteousness includes such qualities as kindness, unselfishness, truthfulness, and justice. The prophets declared that God is righteous and that he demands righteousness of people. Right? So God of the Bible demands righteousness of people. And really, in layman's terms, what it's saying. And you say, Devin, how can you say that God said this? And I'm not saying that. I'm saying the way the Bible should be read. The way the Bible is encrypted. You understand what I'm saying? The way the Bible is encrypted, it's explaining to you the aspects of how you should act and how you should live your life. Because these are the ways that if you uphold righteousness, you will have better frequencies to live your life through. You live your life in the lower frequencies, you'll have certain outcomes. You live your life in higher frequencies, you have higher outcomes. Righteousness is registered on a high frequency, meaning that it's high energy. Low energy, it has a wave, and sometimes it has a feeling of good. But when righteousness appears to low energy, it's very abrupt. It's a feeling that you say, well, I want to feel a higher vibration. Look at them, they're having fun. Because you'll start to see, oh wow, they're cleaner, they're living more, they have better habits, they have better way of thinking, they are making better health choices. That higher vibration has to sustain energy. Lower vibration has less energy to expel. I mean, and it's very draining. You get what I mean? And it doesn't feel draining at first. That's the vibe of, you can spend some time at each frequency. That's what I'm ultimately saying. You can spend time in frequencies. If you want to spend time in your righteous frequency, understand the attributes of righteousness and what it takes to maintain righteousness. You can return to righteousness if you go down to, and say, a hateful energy. Say you have hate for someone or something, right? You find yourself angry at something and you say, well, dang, I'm so mad about something. And you say, well, I feel wrong about the way I spoke to somebody. Now you're outside of the category of righteousness, right? Because now you're saying, I'm not free from wrong. I did something wrong. So then you're able to return to righteousness, but you have to understand that you have to process that it takes you to be truthful. It takes you to be honorable. It takes you to process justice. You know what I mean? So when you do this, then you go and you apologize to the person that you offended, or you go and make some amends to whatever that you've done, or that you feel that you've done wrong, even if it's turning from a behavior that you don't want anymore. This is a very real essential one, is the person within you that you feel that you've wronged. When you realize that you've wronged yourself, what's important and key, for me anyways, is to acknowledge it, be aware of it, face it, and then turn away from it as much as I can. Even if I end up turning back to it, I'm able to process. The best way is not to be down on myself or to fall into a depression or to accept what I feel that is wrong and then to go with the wrong way. No. If you do something wrong for 20 years and you keep doing it wrong and you really realize that it's not the way, keep fighting, because it's fighting you. Keep fighting, keep pushing through to knowing what is right, because it's something innate in you that you know that you did wrong. Even murderers, they know they be doing wrong. Okay, I was about to talk about Jimmy Carter again. As we develop as people and as a community, we determine what is acceptable and what is destructive to prosperity of our community. We are born with a natural ability to cling to life like a child clings to a nipple. With that coded codex, we grow and activate new levels of our DNA. All the great prophets in the scriptures had a DNA activation. It's time to have yours. It's time to have yours. Are you ready for your DNA activation? We're going to talk about more about DNA activation this week. I want to conclude there, and I want to give you a synopsis of what we talked about. Today we talked about, can you live a righteous life without being religious? And I say yes, you can, because you do not have to identify as religious to live in honor, to have justice, truthfulness, unselfishness, kindness, and free from wrong. You do not have to profess any profit to live that way. In fact, living that way, it just makes you a better life. If you just process it that way, then you don't even have to be confused. It's totally acceptable to live righteously. Like I said, God acknowledges your righteousness. And with that, you will have the presence of God show up in your life, and you will begin to be led down the direction that is best for you and most suitable for you. Does that make any good sense? That makes pretty good sense to me. So today's another episode of APOP. Righteousness, peace, joy in the Holy Ghost. Remember that song? Maybe you don't. But today we talked about righteousness. You can live righteous even if you don't identify with any specific religion or God. God, in essence, is your understanding of your existence. This is just a reality. It's about your consciousness. It's about what's on your mind, what you're holding yourself back from. When you identify everything that you read in ancient texts as interpreted as what you should use to develop yourself, then you will be on the right track and you'll be able to decipher truly what's going on in your life and break free and cling to the right habits. I love you guys. Peace.
And trials that are temptations, like these guys have. What were some of those things you had to face to keep you on the right path? Like, did you ever commit a crime?
Oh, no.
You never committed a crime?
Well, wait. I'm not going to lie. I did do something.
What was that?
Oh, it was so small. I was 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And a dear friend of mine had a beautiful pearl-handled knife. And when he showed me the knife, I liked the knife so much that I took the knife and put it in my pocket. And the next day, he started asking, they called me Gene at that time, Gene, did you see my knife? I said, no, I didn't see no knife. And I went back to my house. I'm 10 years old. But stealing and lying beat me so bad till I never let that act that I did escape my consciousness. And just, I think it was maybe a month ago, his brother, the brother of the brother who I stole his knife, we found each other in Washington, D.C. Oh, no, Atlanta, in Atlanta. And I confessed to him that I had stole his brother's knife. And he looked at me. I was telling the Muslims about it because there's something about lying and stealing that will lead you to greater crimes. And my mother would beat the hell out of me over the lie. She would beat me if I stole, and she knew about it, but beat me worse for lying. So I've had that kind of conscience since I was 10 years old. So I never got it. So I've had that kind of conscience since I was 10 years old. So I never got into no real crime, but to me, that was a crime against my conscience. So when I said to the brother, I said, yeah, man, that's been on my mind. And when I saw that you had called.
All right, if you really like this episode, right, and subscribe to the channel, eat your fruit, because I love you, and I really want you to understand about righteousness, because a lot of us can spread this message of righteousness without religious intent, and to begin to set people free. They don't have to be confused about why their baby daddy and why their baby mama, why they tax people, the job. They ain't gotta worry about none of that. They can understand, oh man, maybe it's me processing these emotions and thought patterns that is actually producing my behavior to make these people act like this towards me. When we understand the basics, you really process, okay, I can change my life from sitting in my living room, because if I change the way I'm looking at my life, then I start to see different pockets of opportunity to improve it. Righteousness helps you improve your life. Unrighteousness helps you destroy your life. It's simple. You don't need a Bible to tell you that. You don't need a Quran, Buddha to tell you that. All you got to do is be real with yourself, write down what you feel is right, write down what you feel is wrong, and there's your doctrine. What? Write your own doctrine. Not to say that you can't realize, this Bible is Sumerian, it's Akkadian, it's Hebrew, or is it Hebrew? It is Hebrew. I didn't mean it's not, I just want to make sure I'm saying the right language. And it's Greek. It's stories from ancient times that have been passed down. There's books taken out, there's books added, there's books modified. This book is someone's doctrine. This is a group of people's doctrine. So simply start creating your own doctrine. It's really simple. I write a lot. I know I'm playing with y'all. I'm eating this pear. It's good. Eat your fruit, y'all. I love y'all. Peace.